Every reseller is searching for the next big hack, the secret that unlocks more sales, bigger profits, and better inventory. Well, today I'm going to give you that secret, but fair warning, it's not flashy and it's not a clickbait tactic. In fact, it's just a brutal truth that I unlocked on a recent road trip with my dad. Let me get into it. My name is Ty Wilson. I host a show called Chasing Cardboard, and over the last decade, I've built one of the larger sports car reselling businesses out there with over 75,000 transactions and over $5 million in sales. Well, this channel is all about helping you optimize your reselling business because small tweaks consistently lead to massive results. But to resell at a high level, whether it's sports cards or clothing or video games or vintage toys or whatever it is, there's a deeper unlock that most resellers never discover. And that's what this recent trip revealed. Let me take you back to last week. So on Tuesday, I hit the road for a 4-day filming trip with Matt, producer of the show. Tuesday night, we filmed in Mobile, Alabama. We bought a small collection and it ended up fairly well. Wednesday morning, we got up, we filmed in southern Mississippi, about a half hour away, and we met a great seller. We spent 4 hours with them and we bought another collection, and we packed everything up and we drove 5 hours north to Memphis where we spent the night because we were planning for the next morning collection. Well, that next morning, which is Thursday, we drove another 2.5 hours to Poplar Bluff, Missouri for a third collection. And then we hit a snag because Matt needed to catch a flight 3 hours away in St. Louis, and we didn't have enough room in the SUV for the full collection. So we ended up working out the deal, and I agreed to drive back a couple days later to pick everything up. Not something that I would normally do, but it was necessary for the situation. Saturday morning, 48 hours later, I went and picked up my dad, and we made the 5-hour drive across the state to grab the collection. Everything really went pretty smooth, and in total, 5 days, 1,600 miles, 26 hours in the car, and 3 collections secured. All good. You might be thinking, okay, Ty, cool, but so what? Well, because this trip taught me a few key lessons that I believe can help you unlock serious power for your reselling business. First, your job as a reseller is to make the seller's life easy. Literally every seller that we met last week said some version of, hey, you went out of your way to make this easy on me. That's what they said, because that matters to people. I've talked to so many resellers who say they want great inventory, but they don't want to put in the work to get it. Here's the truth. Everyone is fighting for great deals, but the resellers who are actively removing stress for the seller, they're the ones who get the doors open for them. When you show up, you simplify the deal, you handle logistics, you create a simple transaction, sellers trust you. And when you remove their stress, you create the margin for your business. This is what many people outside of reselling, the peanut gallery, do not get. The opportunity that you get is directly tied to how much stress you're willing to take off the plate for the seller. The second big revelation happened during a conversation with my dad. You see, after we closed the SUV trunk, and we pulled out of the Poplar Bluff house, I looked over at him and I asked him, I said, what do you think about all this? And he looked at me and he said something that really hit me. He said, Ty, when I see these boxes of dusty cards, all I see is stress. I don't know how you're going to sell this stuff. And I paused for a minute and it hit me because when I see those same boxes, I see steps. I see a plan. I know how to break it down, to sort it, to list it, to sell it, to move it. And the difference really between the stress and the confidence is just the process and the experience. If you're still seeing stress when you buy inventory, it usually means you haven't fully built your reselling process yet. And that's okay, but you need to recognize it. Before I write any check for any collection, I know what the total resale value is, how much margin I need. I know which platforms that I'm probably going to use to sell it. I know how long it's probably going to take to move it all. And finally, I usually know what my fallback plan is if needed. If you are going to spend money on inventory, you can't just spend and then hope that it sells. I mean, that doesn't work that way. You need to understand your game plan before you cut that check. The only way to comfortably pay the prices that you want is to know it's going to happen and then see the plan unfold before your eyes. In those moments, it's easy really to undersell this reality, but this is the real world. Your expertise and your understanding of the puzzle is worth something. And the more you understand and can forecast, the easier and the less stressful it'll become. This brings me to one of the biggest traps that resellers fall into, and that's something that I call the dead zone. The dead zone is that space between the purchase and your break-even point. This is where your money gets tied up. That's where your time gets assigned. That's where stress starts to build up. And most importantly, it's where you lose all of your opportunity costs. Let me walk you through it in a very simple example. Say you go buy a collection for $10,000. You estimate that it's going to take you 8 weeks and maybe about 10 hours a week to fully sort, list, and sell. That's 80 hours of work. At $25 an hour, that's $2,000 in your time. So you're not just investing $10,000, you're actually investing $12,000. That $12K could be working elsewhere. That's your opportunity cost. And if you don't factor this in before buying, you're going to make purchases that feel great in the moment, but they crush your cash flow and ultimately your confidence. If you want to see an immediate transformation in your reselling business, focus all of your efforts on shrinking your dead zone on every single one of your transactions. And the best way to do that is to have clarity before every single big purchase. Let me give you 4 questions that I work through every single time I go on a deal, whether it's a quick note on my phone or something that I spend time writing down. Number 1 is how much of this inventory fits within my wheelhouse. In sports cars, there are a lot of niches. It's not just vintage or modern, it's low or high dollar. It's prospects to veterans, it's singles, lots or sets, and on and on. And the same applies to other categories of things that you might sell. More than likely, you have a specialty that you are locked in on. How much of this purchase falls inside of that specialty? Know your lane. Stick to what you know best. Number 2 is, when will I realistically start to sell this? I mean, you might laugh here, but if you are 5 months behind, you need to check yourself, because buying inventory to simply throw on your shelf, especially in a volatile market like sports cards, probably isn't a great decision. Have a good idea before you purchase on when this particular lot of items will actually hit your store. The third question I ask is, how much work will it take to break even? I mean, like we talked about earlier, calculate the dead zone. Know your financial and your time commitment before you buy. If you can't justify the opportunity cost, walk away. And the fourth thing I ask is, what platforms will I be using to sell this on? Because in today's marketplace, you don't just sell on eBay. Maybe you sell via live auctions as well. Maybe you integrate Facebook Marketplace or X. Maybe you go sell in person at shows. There are a lot of ways to sell. So when you see the purchase in front of you, you know where it's going to go. If you're just going to figure it out in the future, prepare yourself for a bunch of wasted hours. Look at that purchase and think through the platforms that are going to be involved. You do that, this will strip away the stress, and it'll also impact the price that you're going to potentially pay. If you can answer these 4 questions before every big purchase, I guarantee you're going to eliminate 90% of the stress that comes from reselling. Because reselling at a very high level is not about finding the magic bullet, it's about controlling the process. If you want this full written framework plus a weekly reseller email with tips like this, join my email list below. I promise it's free and it'll help you level up your reselling game. And if you want to see these exact principles put to the test, check out this video where I tried to sell 1 card every minute for 24 hours straight. I think you're going to find it both inspiring and a little bit insane. Take care. See you next time.